Welcome back to Miss Monsters and Mullets. I am your host, John Ware Wolfenkamp. Tonight's show is a collaboration between Nevermore Hollows, Drunken Cryptids, and the Cryptid Podcast. It's our Halloween special. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Out in the woods, shadows creep slow. Footprints deep where no man should go. Cold winds howl through hollers and brooks. Whispers of Bigfoot in the way it looks. Miss monsters and bullets in the night. Under a pale moon, strange glowing light. Truth out there like a blade it cuts. Miss monsters and mullets run 'em up.
Wait, I gotta poop.
Already? Everybody, welcome to another episode of Us. We got a grand, we got a grand total of what, 4? Am I counting right? Or did I forget to count?
You got 4, yeah.
Well, we got, 4 shows, right? Cryptids, I think,
shows.
Yeah, 4 shows. So the 4 shows in an art studio coming on the night for our Halloween special. It's any sound effects, you know. Well, I'll do a real quick intro for myself, you guys. Matthew Wharton, the host of the Drunken Cryptids. The only thing I do want to bring forward is the Arkansas Cryptid Fest on June 6, 2026, in North Little Rock, Arkansas, 600 North Broadway at Old Parts at Diamond Bear. We're going to have VIP speakers, guest speakers. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to have a Bigfoot calling contest, another casting class, and much more to be announced further along. Go to the Drunken Cryptids Facebook page, check out the event, and go ahead and all the updates will be posted there. But I can tell you for sure that I do have the speakers that are coming. Todd Neese is going to be a VIP speaker. Matthew Wharton is going to be a VIP speaker. Chumming with the Spirits is going to be a guest speaker. John Methenkamp is going to be a guest speaker. I believe that Dano from the Cryptid Podcast is going to be a guest speaker. Did I hear that right, Dano?
You did.
Look at that. Dano's coming down to be a guest speaker. And I'm hoping for my final guest speaker slot would be the great and wonderful crew from the Nevermore Hollows.
I'll have to check my calendar.
Yeah.
See, I wanted to put you guys on the spot on live when I did this. I did the John.
Excellent. Yeah, dude, we'd be glad to do whatever you need us to do. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, exactly. So now my guest speaker slots are full. I'm working on the VIP slots, get those full. So the way I look at it, what will be going on is while the VIPs are listening to while they're speaking, y'all are going to be out there doing a bigger audience because it'll be the free people coming to check you out, listen, and, I'll let you guys talk whatever you want to talk.
Well, I'll send you my rider. Chris,
Yeah.
make sure that it, we put in there all the quirky little things that we need, but
Also,
yeah,
we don't want any clowns in any cabinets in any place we stay.
Well, I was going to actually put a clown booth next to y'all.
Now, bull crap, man. If there's a clown there, you can take my name off that list. I hate clowns.
So Chris, we'll be packing heat. We'll have to put some clowns down that day.
Yeah.
So
I'll come strapped.
Yeah, don't worry.
All right.
Absolutely.
So I am Matthew Wharton, the host of Drunken Cryptids, and then somebody go next.
I'm Dano. The Cryptid Podcast.
That's it? That's all you're going to say?
Well, what he just said, introduce myself. You want me to get into the whole details? I've been doing this for
We
about
want to know
a year
your
now.
shoe size, dude.
I wear a size 12. I have a 38-inch waist. I don't wear socks. And underneath the sweatshirt, I have tassels on.
Nice.
No, you guys, I'm the host of the Cryptid Podcast, you guys. I've been doing this for a year. The channel is dedicated towards all types of cryptids. Every once in a while, we'll bring something spiritual on, whether it be like an archangel or something like that. Try to stay away from the occult and demons and things like that. I don't like to dabble in that type of stuff. I will talk about a couple ghost stories that I've had on my own or have a guest, but if it starts going off the rails towards the stuff I really don't want to talk about, I don't want to invite that into my house. Married, 3 grandkids, 3 kids, and love doing this, man. I've met a lot of great people, and tonight I met 3 more great people, and it's a pleasure meeting you guys.
Awesome.
You talk about us. Okay. Well, I'm like, who else did he meet?
Well, I met Sasha and I met Devion, and
And that was the after hours party.
we haven't even had the after hours party yet.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Trust me. No, just kidding.
Next victim.
Okay. So I am Alan, and I am the creator and one of the hosts and partners in the Nevermore Hollows podcast. We write horror stories and we produce horror stories. We record them and we put them out to the world. I am married, got a 24-year-old son, a 13-year-old stepdaughter, and no grandkids. And I am the unfortunate friend of these three guys on this podcast with me. So other than that, I'm glad to be here. Chris, this will be a good segue for you, brother. Talk about what you do with it.
All right. I'm Chris Madman Goins. I am the other host of Nevermore Hollows. I'm also the art director and voice actor. I'm married 31 years. I got a 25-year-old daughter and a 23-year-old son, and no grandkids yet. And I like long walks on the beach. And
And you are the owner of
Black Sheep Studios.
Push That Baby, push it. So,
Which is hopefully working on a beautiful logo for the Arkansas Cryptid Fest.
Yeah, I got an idea for that I need to ask you about.
That's
All right,
yeah.
we'll talk off there.
Yeah.
So you have art, you have a lot of art for Nevermore Hollows, but you have so much out there that is on your site that is for sale.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
I'm working on one as we speak of the Missouri Monster. So that ought to be kind of cool. It's, I'm going through a lot of ink,
Right.
but yeah. And again, I'm friends with these Fruit Loops, and that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I prefer to be called a Fruity Pebble and not a Fruit Loop.
Okay.
I caught that in your last episode.
Right. So I guess now it's John's turn. Gosh,
John.
come on, hurry.
My name is John Fike, also known as John Methenkamp, host of Myths, Monsters, and Mullets, and the true talent of Nevermore Hollow. I do some voice acting for Nevermore Hollows. I have about 27 characters on there. But with my show, I do anything cryptid, paranormal, UFOs. Unlike Dano, I don't mind towing into those forbidden realms sometimes. I have had demonic possessions on my show.
Yeah. Anybody that comes in gets demonically possessed.
It always seems better to have a PBR for some reason. The heat opens, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Well, you know,
But I'm married, happily
Go ahead.
married, 2 kids, 2 stepkids, no grandkids. And yeah, that's it. That's what I do. And
Well, the
I
cool
will be a
thing,
speaker at the Arkansas Cryptid Fest, June 6th, 2026.
there you go.
I'm like the odd man out. Y'all are like doing bios and stuff. So, okay, I'm old. I've got 5 kids, 1 grandkid, single, and I'm lucky if I have any relationship lasts longer than 31 months, much less 31 years. So I give you props on that one, Chris. Rock on. So
I just want to let you guys know I'm also I'm honored to be here with Chris because you said he's an artist, and I mean I'm super stoked to see what you draw. I do a draw. Yeah, I mean that art is awesome. I do a little bit of art myself. I'm definitely not at your level. This is something that I just came up with. So I'm
I like
look
it.
at it. It's
I like
us.
your
It's
style.
us, guys.
Yeah.
It's us.
Cool.
So,
Yeah. Look,
yeah.
he's bold avant-garde style there.
That's what that'll be for sale on my site. Yeah. So let you guys know.
So-
starting
So
big.
Dan, I'll tell you something funny. My son is a comic book artist as
And he's a good
well,
one.
and we go to cons together, and we used to share a table, and we'd become each other's hype man. Well, he would be selling all these comic books, and I would start talking about how terrible of an artist he is, just to be silly, right? So I'd always draw stick figures and try to sell them. I would put them out there on little pieces of paper and put like $5 on it, and I would like, if I sell one of these, you have to buy my supper. But so far, nobody's ever bought my art. So I'm
Oh
sad.
my goodness! I have a friend of mine who an amazing. I haven't talked to him probably about a year or so because he kind of likes to drop off the grid every now and again, and then he'll pop back up. And I'm like, hey man, been trying to get a hold of you. Yeah, well, this, and this. But he started out as an airbrush artist,
Oh
became
yeah.
a tattoo artist, and now he does. Well, he's had some work printed in Thundercats, the comic book
Oh, cool.
Thundercats, and things like that. So I have reached out to him to create something for the channel, and yeah, I'm still waiting.
Well, look, that's the life of working with an artist.
Yeah. Yep.
You know I love you, Chris. You know I love you. I'm just poking fun.
Well, see,
All
you're
right.
printing in Thundercats, and my comic book that I did is behind John. It's Tampon Man and Applicator Boy.
Saw that.
So, yeah.
Look, high
I love
art,
it.
literature. It's literally literature in comic form.
I'm talking about.
Exactly.
It's a masterpiece, man. You know what? You look at about 30, 40 years from now, people are going to be, I can't believe that this is not in the Smithsonian or the National
Right.
Library or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Give yourself more credit than that.
Well,
I proudly
everybody-
play it.
The way I
It's
put
already
it
made
is-
it to, if it's on my wall, that's better than being in the Louvre.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, the way I put it, I'm a cartoonist. Artists hang in museums. I hang in people's bathrooms. So,
There you go.
You can see more at the bathroom.
yeah, they look at my art for longer.
Oh,
They
yeah.
sure do. Well, everybody, so I'm glad y'all came on. I want to say thank you guys for taking the time to come out tonight, to come out and do this. I thought this would be something fun to do because the three of us, four of us all know each other. And I know Dan, we've met through Facebook. And just the way he comes across, the way he does the show, I figured it'd be a good fit in for all of us, for what we do and how we do it, the melding with our personalities. I think we rambled on for about 40 minutes before we even hit the record button. So that was a lot of fun watching you guys interact. So what I wanted to do tonight, though, because, it is Halloween. Well, when this drops, it's Halloween. And I thought it'd be kind of a fun show to do, to come on and to either tell a personal ghost story or scary story.
Yes.
15, 20 minutes long. And then the next one go. And whether it's our personal one or one we find on Reddit or one that we've heard, I've got a couple that I'm going to get in there in my 15-minute time window. So I'm real excited to hear what everybody has to share. And since it's Halloween, I got the fire going, trying to get a spooky face,
Yeah.
So,
Well, you don't need a
Alan's
fire
face
for
is
that.
always spooky.
Yeah, I'm trying to say I don't need Halloween. My face is spooky all the time.
Damn.
Hey, John, I'm getting ready to send you a special emoji. Hang on.
It'll be a knife. I guarantee it.
It'll be a what?
A knife.
Nice.
There you go. I added a little something to that one just to keep you off balance. Dan, I'm always threatening to kill my friends.
Nice.
These are three extremely close friends. We're basically brothers, but I'm always threatening to kill them.
Yeah.
Well,
He's a psychopath.
well, have you listened to Nevermore Hollows?
I haven't, but I'm going to.
You've
I'm
got to.
definitely
I mean,
going
I'll
to.
be honest with you. Nevermore Hollows is so much fun. It really is. And I enjoy it because, we do listen to a lot of the podcasts. And, I listen to your podcast. I listen to John's podcast. I listen to, there's so many of them. And so whenever Nevermore Hollows drops an episode, and I missed it last week, I was like, wait, did I miss one? And so yesterday, I was like, oh, so a great episode, had a little happy moment there in the truck working. But the story's great because Alan has gone through and done a wonderful job of developing characters. And when I was binging the show, I was messaging, there was one point before, I actually messaged Chris, and I was like, is Alan okay? Do you remember that, Chris? I was like, is Alan okay? Is he going through something? Do I need to reach out or something? And he goes, no, man, no. He's like, it's on the episode. And he goes, oh, okay, let me tell you. I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Nice.
So, but the cool thing is that when you meet Alan, he is like this uppity, happy-go-lucky guy. And
He's
then you
uppity,
Nevermore
all right.
Hollows, and they're like, people are melted into the buildings, and animals are merged in together. And you're like, and the rat was still alive. You're going, that poor rat, I mean, so if you get just a good breakaway from the norm, and if you love the horror, you love the scare, But what I like, though, what Alan's done is Alan's taken the everyday cryptid paranormal things and has put his own spin on it. Whether it involves the sparkling vampires, whether it involves anything at all, he'll take a cryptid paranormal creature and go, okay, how can I think outside the box?
Hmm.
And then he writes it. And so, in Nevermore Hollows, your vampire is not your everyday Hollywood average vampire. It's a totally different vampire. Your zombies are totally different. The hippie one was great.
Yeah.
It's
That was the
Chris
one with
right there.
Chris. Yeah, that's the episode we introduced Chris into the universe. And
Well,
the
what
hippie,
I found funny though is that me and John both had like an alien thing. I had an alien plant
yeah,
with a ray gun, and John's actually duking it out, having a fist of cuffs with another alien. So
yeah.
it's just a lot of fun. So Dano, you get a chance, you got to check out Nevermore Hollows.
Oh, I
But
definitely
again,
will.
you guys, thank you so very much for doing this. Thank you again for coming and help support me for the fest, you guys. I think it's going to be an amazing first year with everybody that's lined up to come. I'm already getting messages on it. I'm already getting vendors wanting to show up. So I'm really excited about it. So I do want to get into the scary stories and the spookiness, and let's jump into it. And John, we drew straws. You're the young one, so you get to go first.
Go.
That pup looks rough.
So anyway, yeah, thanks for having us, Matthew.
Yeah.
This is my first year, my first Halloween as a podcaster.
Ooh.
So, but you said you wanted to do ghost stories, and I have told my own paranormal encounters before on other shows. So I wanted to go a little different this time. A couple of years back, when I started getting into the paranormal and stuff like that, some of the guys at work were talking about this place called Bloody Bridge. And first thing that went through my mind is every freaking town, state, county, whatever, has a crybaby bridge.
Yeah.
It's the same story told over and over and over, just a different location. And everybody's like, no, dude, this is different. When we decided to do this episode, I was like, okay, I'm going to look into this thing. It is not the typical crybaby bridge. And in fact, the Historical Society actually put a plaque up by this bridge. This isn't just some random story. So I'm going to read. It's from Factscology.com. This was written by Hector Navarro, and this was the best version of the story that I could find. So I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then I'm going to show some pictures of the bridge and the plaque that goes along with it. So along Route 66 in St. Mary's, Ohio, there's a bridge that crosses the Miami-Erie Canal known as Bloody Bridge. And if you visit it after sundown, you might bump in to the headless man who helped create the legend. In the early 1850s, Jack Billings and Bill Jones were two mule drivers pulling boats carrying supplies and people along the canal. By all accounts, the two were friends, never displayed any malice towards each other, but that would change in 1854. That year, Jack oversaw the mules driving the Daisy, while Bill oversaw the ones driving Minnie Warren. And here's where the problem started. The Minnie Warren was named after its captain's daughter, Minnie. She was a beautiful woman in charge of the boat's culinary department and caught the attention of Jack and Bill. At first, the two teased each other about their crushes, tossing some friendly banter to each other from either side of the canal. But after Minnie noticed Jack, it all changed. What was that? Matthew, did you just fart?
You did trying to listen.
That was
Maybe it was the
hysterical.
ghost. Maybe it was the ghost coming through. Maybe that's what it was.
Wasn't
Yeah.
me. I muted myself.
Yeah, I'm muted.
Okay. According to the legend, Minnie instantly fell for the kind-hearted Jack, and the two started a not-so-private relationship that enraged Bill. Jack and Bill's relationship deteriorated, and though they remained on speaking terms, many say there was anger and hatred behind their words. Oftentimes, Jack would blow a kiss to Minnie, who watched him from the boat, and would catch a seizing Bill angrily whipping his mule. One night in the fall of 1854, everyone who was anyone was attending a party referred to as the social event of the district. Jack and Minnie attended hand in hand, conversing with others and dancing through the night. Bill, on the other hand, was said to have had attended with a sour look on his face that transformed into a rage as the night went on. Just a few hours before sunrise, the party finally ended, with Jack and Minnie being the few partygoers still in attendance. The two left, still hand in hand, walking through the night, and they came upon a bridge where something induced a terrifying panic in them. From the shadows appeared Bill Jones with a terrible smile on his face, and in his hands he held an axe. Bill swung his axe at Jack with such force that his head was severed cleanly off of his body. In the distance, a few neighbors heard Minnie's screams and ran towards the bridge. As they arrived, they saw Bill Jones holding his bloody axe and Minnie Warren screaming in fear. She took a step back and fell off the bridge, landing in the ditch below. Her lifeless body then rolled into the shallow water. According to the legend, the witnesses jumped in and pulled her body out, but by then, Bill Jones had disappeared. Due to his disappearance, many believe Bill Jones committed suicide after the murders, but they could never be sure. A few years later, a skeleton was found in a nearby well, and though it couldn't be identified, many believed it was Bill Jones who had fallen in during his escape. It wasn't long after the murders that some started to report seeing a headless man wandering the bridge after sundown. Meanwhile, no matter how much rain fell, the bloody spot where Jack's head landed never lost its red stain. Others claim that if you stood in the spot where Minnie fell and looked down at the water, you would see her staring back at you. But some people have claimed you see both Jack and Minnie staring back at you together, even in death. In the 1890s, the once wooden bridge was replaced, but before the pieces could be destroyed, many came from miles out to take pieces of the bridge home. They believed the ghosts of the lost lovers would disappear with the bridge, but they were wrong. According to the legend, even after the new bridge was constructed, the headless ghost of Jack and the visions of Minnie were still witnessed. In 1976, the Auglaize County Historical Society placed a small monument with a plaque commemorating the bridge with its name, Bloody Bridge. I'm going to share pictures of, as I find it. Of course, it's not going to let me do it. But believe me, there's pictures. Well, I had that and then I closed that window.
No,
but
not
yes,
you.
there is a plaque. Like I said, I didn't know anything about this story. And it wasn't until, like I said, a couple years ago, even though I grew up in the area, my hangout was more south than where this is. So I'd never heard of it. But yeah, there is a plaque. It's actually a stone monument next to the bridge that tells the entire story on the stone monument. And it was put up by the County Historical Society. So it sounds like the event happened, but people do say that if you go out there after dark, you'll see the ghost and the face staring up at you from the water.
Did you go out there?
I was waiting until you came back to hold my hand.
I got you, baby. Don't you worry about it. Let's get down the yellow brick road towards the bridge.
All right. I appreciate it.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was because, like I said, I thought it was one of those, crybaby bridge, that every town has. And then when I find out that, there's actually historical markers sitting out there and, and if you go to the park where this bridge is, the trail is called Bloody Bridge Trail. And that's what the Parks District calls it.
That is super cool because, I mean, you're right. Like, I swear every town in, USA has, some sort of a woman in white on the bridge or a crying baby on the bridge. Like, we have a woman in white and crying baby. I mean, about 20 minutes from where I live, and went out there and nothing. But that's kind of cool. They actually, had a plaque and everything about it. That was a good dig. That was good. I like that. That was awesome.
I have to give thanks to the guys at work that told me about it.
You did good. All right. Dano, you up? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So I could come on here and tell you any one of my paranormal encounters. Some are way longer than the 15 minutes. Some are pretty short. So I looked up one. I could tell you a short one, and then I can go into reading the story that I found. So when I was about 15 years old, I was living in Tacoma, Washington, and I rode my bike over to my aunt and uncle's house. And I would just walked in the back door, let them know I was there, grabbed a bowl, poured some cereal, sat down in the dining room, and was looking out towards the street. Had a huge, big bay window that overlooked the street. As I'm sitting there eating my cereal, I noticed the house across the street. Now, I grew up in this area when I was a kid, a small kid, and so I knew the owners of that house. Now, the elderly lady, for the life of me, I can't remember her name. I'll say Lillian. She had passed away. She passed away a couple of years before this happened, and Marie was her daughter, And I remember talking to them when I was a little kid. Anyway, I'm sitting at the table and I catch something as I'm getting ready to eat a spoon of cereal. And I noticed that one of the curtains was moving. And I found this odd because the house is empty. No one has lived in that house for a couple of years, but it's still owned by the same family. So I didn't think nothing of it. I'm thinking maybe, light, something, shadow, whatever. So I go down, I get another spoonful, and I bring it up to my mouth, and that's when I watch the curtain get pulled back, and I see Lillian's face come forward into the window. She waves and smiles, and then she backs away, and the curtain falls back into place. I immediately grabbed my bowl of cereal, walked through the dining room into the kitchen, put the bowl in the sink, and walked out. Got on my bike. Instead of going down the driveway that would take me directly in front of this house, I took my bike over the fence, climbed over the fence through the backyard. They had a garage, and on the back side of the garage was a carport. I went through the carport and drove down the alleyway away from the house and took like the longest way I could possibly take home. To this day, it still freaks me out. Because she had been gone for like a couple of years. And I asked my aunt about it. And I go, hey, who's living in Marie's house? And she's like, no one. I go, oh, okay, well, I saw something. She's like, what did you see? And I told her. She's like, oh, you're just seeing things. Now, here's a really weird twist to this whole story around that house. So I joined the Air Force out of high school, go to Germany, get stationed at f1 Air Force Base, and I get out. And my dad says I could stay with him for as long as I want to until I find a job, get my own place. My dad was living in that house, and I slept in the basement of that house. And every so often, when I know nobody was home, not my dad, not my stepmom, not my 3 step-siblings, I would hear someone walk like they were elderly, walking through the house. I would hear doors slam shut. And I told my dad, I go, Dad, something's wrong with this house. And he's like, don't say nothing to the kids, don't say nothing to your stepmother. I go, Dad, I'm telling you, because he knows what I saw that one day. He knows very well. And he goes, if you don't bother her, she's not going to bother you.
Holy. Wow.
That is the honest to God's truth. F that. I'm not even going to tell the story. I'm going to tell you guys some more stories about from when I was stationed in FE1 Air Force Base, stationed when I was in Germany. So in Germany, oh, you want to hear this story. I remember that, Matt. So in Germany, when I first got there, I got assigned to this one dormitory, and no big deal. I just didn't like it. It was older. It didn't have any carpet for the floor or anything like that. And as soon as I could move, I moved over to another dormitory. Now, when I moved over to this dormitory, it was called E4, Echo 4. People can't understand me saying E. And the dorm had a nickname. The nickname of the dormitory was called the Morgue. And the reason it was called the Morgue, rumor has it that during World War II, when we were on our way to bomb Düren or Cologne or Bonn or any area like that, if they had to, if they were attacked, they would drop their bombs, and it dropped into this area. And this is where they would bring military or civilians and put them in the basement of this dormitory. There are tunnels that connect all the dormitories. We weren't supposed to. They were bricked up, but, ingenuity. They became unbricked somehow. We go into this room, and what do we find? We find a drain in the floor. We find markings on the floor where there was a table, and you could see where there was something up against the wall that looked like it could have been maybe a refrigeration unit of some kind, and that was in the dormitory. Now, this dormitory was very well known to have a phantom. The phantom I've seen on a few occasions. I have buddies in my phone that I can call right now, and they would tell you, oh, hell yeah, it was haunted. The way the layout was, if you walk in the front door, you turn immediately to your right, there's a series of 4 rooms, like dorm rooms. Right in front of you is a staircase going up to a landing, and then up to the second floor, or stairs that go down to the basement, the morgue. If you go to your left, it's a series of dorm rooms and a community bathroom. The second floor mirrors the first floor, with the only exception of there's frosted glass on the door, the windows in the doors on the right or left-hand side, because that's where the females were housed. Everything else was all male. Now, the other other side on the right, up above on the second floor. We called that the Party Palace. 4 dorm rooms, small little hallway. We'd have 20, 30 people packed in there, drinking, having a great time. That's what you do in the military. Now, at the top of the stairs, there was a dorm room directly at the top of the stairs. One night, I get off of a swing shift. It's about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and I go upstairs. Party's in full effect. One of the guys is like, Hamilton, what do you want to drink? I go, I'll have a Jack and Coke. And he goes, okay. So I watch him take a 32-ounce tumbler, and he pours the Jack, and then he pours the Coke. And I go, man, I'm not going to drink that. That's way too. He goes, you're going to drink it? I'm going to make you drink it. Like, okay. So I'm sitting up in the windowsill, big enough for you to literally sit comfortably in there. And the window was open. Well, I'm not drinking this death drink. So I'd slowly dump a little bit out the window, and I'd be like, great one. We had this beer sign, and it was plugged into the hallway, and it started flickering off and on, and like it was shorting out. And the person that poured me the drink, he's sitting in his chair, and he goes, demons, be gone. And it stopped. And we're like, oh, that's cool. Ooh, you got the power. And as we're getting ready to call it a night, it's probably 3 or 4 in the morning now, I get out of the windowsill, and the sign was not plugged in. I noticed the sign was not plugged in at all. And I go, wait a minute, who unplugged this sign? He goes, the sign's been unplugged for like a couple of days now. And we all saw it. There was probably 8 of us that saw this thing flashing and going all crazy. Another time I'm sitting in the same spot, and I just take a drink, and as I'm bringing my cup down, I see something walk across my field of vision and into this room that's at the top of the stairs. And the guy who was in that room, he was in here. And I go, listen, man, I just saw someone walk into your room. He's like, man, ain't no one walking into my room. I go, bull crap, man. I saw someone walk in your room. And they're like, oh, what'd you see? What'd you see, Hamilton? I said, I don't know. He had like a hoodie on, like a hood or something like that. And everybody, I'm getting goosebumps even talking about this, you guys. Everybody, it seemed like they got stone sober. And they're like, dude, you got to check out your room like right now. He's like, man, there's no one in my room. I go, bro, and other guys are like, listen, go check out your room right now. He's like, man, nothing's in my room. So he goes out there and he opens up his door, has to put the key code in his dorm, opens it up, and it looked like his room threw up on itself. His room was completely ransacked. This was not a messy dude. This dude was a very neat, meticulous person, and his room looked like someone had just, like a bunch of drill instructors went into the door and went into the barracks and started flipping beds and wall lockers, man. Just trashed it. And he got mad at me. He's like, what did you do? I go, what am I, hocus pocusing? Are you kidding me? Bro, I'm telling you. And one of the guy goes, man, the Phantom got you. The Phantom got you. There was a time that I was coming into the dormitory after a swing, about 10:30 at night is when I got to my dorm. And as I'm walking up the 2 stairs to go into the front door, I see something walking down the stairs down into the basement. I did an about face, and I walked back to the headquarters building where there was a telephone, and I called my girlfriend, and I'm like, listen, you need to come and pick me up. I'm not sleeping in my dorm today, tonight. And she's like, oh, what is going on? Daniel, what? I go, listen, honey, just come and pick me up. I'll be meeting you at the front gate. I didn't sleep in my dorm room for the next 3 nights. Like, hell no. Now, there was another time where we had this guy who had just come over from Iceland. And so he's in Iceland, and his name was Kelly, and his last name was Kelly, and I'm trying to get to know him a little better. I don't like being that guy that doesn't want to say hi to the new guys. I want to welcome in, the dorm, all type of stuff. And so one day I come home and I'm going to write some letters to my mom and everybody. So I get at my desk and I open up my desk drawer where I kept my stationery and I kept my pen and everything. It was a really, really nice pen. It was an expensive ballpoint pen. And so it's not in my drawer. So I'm looking for it. I tear my room. Now, my room, I had a dresser, a wall locker, a full-size refrigerator, my desk, and my bed, and a nightstand. That's it. I looked everywhere. I looked in all of the drawers, emptied my wall locker, checked all the clothes, nowhere to be found. Well, I'm like, okay, someone's messing with me. So I open up the door. I go, whoever's got my pen better give it back or you're going to catch a beating. Go back in my room, nothing. Okay. Couple weeks later, I come home, go to grab my remote control where I always set it, right next to my TV. No remote control. I'm like, you guys are really starting to tick me off. And again, I go out in the hallway. If anybody's messing with my stuff, you better give it back. We're going to have a problem. Go back in, nothing. A couple weeks later, I go take a shower. Now, my dorm is locked, okay? Key code to get in. No one has my code. My door's locked. I had a necklace with a cross on it that my dad bought me right before basic training. Took it off, put it on my nightstand, go take a shower. I come back, unlock my door, open it up, do what I need to do, go to grab my necklace and put it on. Necklace is gone. And now I'm really pissed. So I'm standing out there in shower shoes and a towel, and I'm cussing everybody. And Kelly opens up his door. He's like, dude, what's going on? I said, listen, man, if you got any of my stuff, you better give it up right now. I said, someone's about to catch a beating. And he was like, what are you talking about? I said, listen, my ballpoint pen is gone. My remote control is gone. And the necklace my dad bought me is gone. I want it back, man. If you know anything, you better tell me or you're going to get a beating because you know something. He's like, bro, he goes, when did this stuff start disappearing? I go, I don't know exactly, like 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. And he goes, you know that this dorm is haunted. I go, yeah, I know it's haunted. I've seen the Phantom, but the Phantom's never taken anything. He's like, no. He goes, have you seen it before? I go, no. He goes, well, in Iceland, they're called trolls. And I go, what do you mean? You're telling me there's a troll, like under the bridge troll that eats the children, like the trolls from Dungeons and Dragons that you have to catch them on fire? He's like, no, it's like a little person. And they're mischievous and they like to take things. And I go, man, that's BS. I don't believe you. He goes, I'm telling you, we have a troll here. I've seen it. And I go, man, you're full of crap. He's like, hear me out. Get some tobacco, put it in like a tissue, and make it like a little bundle, set it on your windowsill. Take like some alcohol and put it in like a little shot glass and set it on your windowsill. And just say, hey, this is for you. All I want is my stuff back. I don't appreciate you playing games. You've made your point. This is for you. Give me all my stuff back. I want it all. Everything you've taken, I want it back. And tell them where you want it. I said, I want it, so I did this, okay? And I'm thinking, they're going to get me, they're going to clown me, and then I'm going to have to secretly put beatings on people when we're on duty and we have to do some exercises. I'm going to get a little bit rough with them. Okay, I'm playing your bullshit jokes, right? So I do this, and I go and I tell it, listen, man, you little troll, gnome, whatever you're called, you took the stuff, I want it all back. Everything you took, I want back. I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm not going to get angry. I'm leaving. I'm going to be gone all day. I want it back before I get here. For real. Now, I've put something up here in the windowsill for you. Get some Jim Beam up here, and you got some tobacco up here. That's yours. No questions asked. I want all the stuff back. And then I leave. And I get on a train, and I go into Cologne, and I'm having the time of my life in Cologne. Time for me to get my train back. Catch the train, get a taxi, go back to base, walk across base, get into my dorm, and I'm standing at my door, and I'm like, man, these guys got me. They are absolutely effing with me. I know they are. Put in my code, opened up my door, turned on the light. First thing I noticed, tobacco was gone, and the glass with Jim Beam, it was a little small glass like this, was empty. And I'm like, okay, you guys are messing with me. And I look on my bed, my pen was on the bed, my remote control was on the bed. The necklace my dad bought me was on the bed. There was a couple watches on the bed. There were some other necklaces, other types of jewelry, other like barrettes or whatever on the bed. Stuff that I didn't even know where it came from. I didn't know whose it was. No clue. And so I'm like looking around and to see if these guys are standing behind me in the doorway to start cracking jokes on me. No one's there. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? I said, okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I go and I put my necklace on and I put my pin where I always put it, put the remote control ahead. Now I'm looking at all this other jewelry. I'm like, what am I going to do with this stuff? People's going to think I stole this. I'm not taking the fall for nothing. And all of it was like women's jewelry. So the next morning I got up, knocked on the door, the nearest person that heard the door knock, and hey, what's going on? What's going on, Hamilton? Is everybody here or are people gone? She's like, everybody's here except for like 2 people. I said, okay, I need to talk to all you ladies up here. I said, I got something going on. I need y'all to verify something for me. And they're like, yeah, sure, not a problem. So I'm up there and I got a handful of jewelry and I'm talking to like 8 of the 10 residents up on this floor. And I'm like, does any of this look familiar to you guys? And they're looking like, where did you get all this? I go, it's in my dorm room. And I told them the whole story. And like, oh, so you know about the troll. And I go, yeah, is any of this your guys' stuff? And like, no, we've never seen any of this before. So the other two people, they came down to my room, knocked on the door, and I showed it to them. They go, no, that's not ours. So I had all this old jewelry, and I just put it in a bag and took it out behind the dormitory and dug a hole and put it in the hole and buried it. It didn't want nothing to do with it. But I'll tell you what I did, man. It conditioned me because every month I'd take a little thing of tobacco and a little thing of Jim Beam and I'd put it up on my windowsill. And I'll be damned if every single time I did that, when I left, I'd come back and that thing was gone and the glass would be empty.
Holy cow. I love that story.
That's cool.
That's a crazy, wicked story.
I love that. When the first time I went on the show, we got done recording afterward, he shared that with me. And I was just like, oh, that has so many Fae right there with it. And it fits, it fits your stereotypical Fae troll, right in that category.
And I'll tell you guys one quick story I won't tell the cemetery story. I'll tell them the one when I'm doing laundry down in the basement. So I'm at F.E. Warren Air Force Base. In the basement, again, for whatever reason, my entire time in the military, I never worked days. I always worked swings or mids. Okay? So I either worked from 2 to 10 or 10 to 6 in the morning, anywhere in there. So I get home, change, shower, grab all my dirty clothes. I'm like, no one's downstairs. I've got the whole washing room or laundry room to myself. No one's going to be messing with me. So I go and I put all my laundry in, I put my basket up on, and I hear a rack of pool balls break. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. Someone's down here. I can sit here and shoot some pool, BS with them while I'm waiting for my laundry to get done. So I walk out of the laundry room, turn to my immediate right, go down the hallway about 10 steps, and that's where the dorm room is. Go into a doorway, and there's the dorm room, or the, whatever you want to call it, the day room.
Common room? Yeah, day room.
Yeah, day room. And in the day room, we got a pool table, we got dartboards, we got a big TV, we got a couple couches, a couple chairs, and then we had a foosball table, and then we had like 4 vending machines. And the only light that was coming from this day room when I first walked into it was the light coming off of the vending machines. So I flipped the light on real quick, and the pool table is completely empty. I look around, the pool balls are up on the wall, on the rack where they're all out on the wall. The rack to rack the balls is hanging up where it's supposed to be. All the cues are right where they're supposed to be. And I'm like, man, someone is messing with me. So I look all around, looking under the pool table, and I do a complete sweep of this room. There's nobody in here. So I go back, do my laundry, whatever. Like 2 weeks later, I go down to do my laundry again, and the exact same thing happens. And as I'm going, I hear shuffling. I turn on the light real quick, thinking that I'm going to catch someone. Nothing. There's nobody in this room. There's nobody downstairs with me at all. And I'm like, what the F is going on? F.E. Warren, you guys, is a very haunted base. A lot of people may or may not know this. F.E. Warren Air Force Base is in a book called, I want to say it's Ghosts of the Plains or something like that, or Ghosts of the Frontier. And they have like their own chapter.
Wow.
So I don't know how much time I got left, but
that was good. Those were great.
Awesome stories.
So those are...
Yeah, I like those. Those are good.
Have any of you guys been touched by a ghost?
I have.
Yeah.
I had a rock thrown at me.
Yeah.
I have one of those too.
Yeah, but are you
After
sure that
you
was a ghost, John, or was it just somebody?
It was my ex-wife's spirit.
Wow. That's dark.
Yeah, I got touched at the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, and I got touched here at Four Quarter in downtown North Little Rock.
Did you guys have experienced any missing time after being touched? I did. I'll tell it real quick. I don't want to take a baby, so I'll tell it real quick. So I'm Police 5. I'm a relief officer. I'm working again. This is a mid shift. I go and I relieve front gate, let them do what they need to do. Then I go on patrol. I start patrolling the area, and I go by the cemetery. This is late November, right around where the full moon time. I don't know if it's the day of, day before, day after, but the moon is gigantic. If anybody's been in Wyoming or any of the plains like that, this moon looked like you could reach up and just grab it. It's so huge, it's so bright. I didn't need to have a flashlight or anything. I could see everything clearly. As I'm driving by the cemetery, there's a cemetery on F.E. Warren. It used to be an old army post. I see someone standing in the cemetery. And I'm like, what is this person doing? It's like 20 degrees outside. There's snow on the ground. There's no reason to be out here. So I whip around the back part, get out of my cruiser, and I start walking up to her. And I say hers because that's what it was. And I go, ma'am, you can't be here. Nothing. So I take a few more steps towards her. I'm like, ma'am, you need to be here. And she turned and looked at me. And that's what I know. She was wearing period clothing, like late 1800s, early 1900s. And I'm like, okay, ma'am, you got to go. Honestly, you can't be here. I take another step and I feel like I get sprayed in the face with something, like wet or something. And as I'm trying to figure out what's going on, I hear police 5, this is control. Police 5, this is control. Police 5, all secure. Police 5, all secure. Copy that. Police 5, all secure. Control out. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? So I'm looking around and I realize I'm looking up at the moon and I realize I'm flat on my back. So I start doing this mental check. Is my back hurt or can I move? Everything works. I get up, and when I get up, that's when I notice the footprints. They're my footprints. They're the only footprints in the cemetery. The only footprints. You can see where I hit I fell down. I'm laying flat on my back. Looks like I try to do a snow angel. I get up, brush myself off, and I start walking back to my cruiser. I have this bone-chilling coldness over my body. I jump in the cruiser, start it up, turn the heat up as high as it'll go, and when I did that, I noticed the time. There's about a 35 to 45 minute lapse in time from when I first got there to when I got back into my cruiser. I don't know what happened. I don't know how long I was out. I don't know what. I drive around for the rest of the night. I refuel the vehicle. I do my relief. My relief guy goes, Ben, you look like crap. Are you okay? It's like, no, it's just a rough night. I'm kind of tired. I was starting my first day of break, 3-day break. I get home, strip everything off, walk into the shower. I turn the shower all the way over to hot, steam just pouring out of the shower. I walked into scalding hot water. I couldn't warm up for almost a whole day, day and a half. I couldn't get that chill out of my body at all. That's it.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Never had that. I mean, I had my missing time at the AHA, but that's the only time I can really say I had missing time. Damn, those are crazy. Crazy. I mean, you're like an episode, multiple episode encounter guy. I mean, seriously, you've had a full life of this stuff.
If I could go back and not have any of it happen, I would ask for that.
Oh, wow.
I don't ask for any of this, man. Right place, wrong time. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Well, since we're on the theme of military stuff, let me jump in and share a couple with you guys. And I'll start off with my buddy Scotty. We were training to go to Bosnia, and we're in Germany. So what Dan was saying earlier, all the training grounds and the bases that we have in Germany, we occupied from the Germans in World War II. I mean, it was already there, so we just took it over. So the training grounds, everything. What the Nazis had done is when they were creating their own training ground, they would be like, okay, we're going to take this area. If there was a village in that area, you moved. I mean, you just the buildings were left behind. So there's ruins in a lot of the training areas that we have out in Germany. It's really cool because you'd be out there and all of a sudden you see like a tower. And I mean, an old church towers, this left behind stuff because they would, bomb these things. Well, I was put on QRF, which seems to be a common theme on there. And Scotty's team had got told of in a certain, up for an insurgent was working through this area. So he loaded up his team. They drove out to sweep and, do a clear of this old abandoned village. They left the driver behind. They took a 3-man team just to do a quick sweep. And they were just, just kind of creeping, looking to see if anybody was there or not. Well, as they got out of the Humvee, they took a man-pack radio with them so they could talk to the Humvee, which could talk to us. And I'm on QRF, so if they run into contact, my job is to go flying up there with my guys and save the day. As soon as they get out to put the man pack on, we lose contact. As soon as they get outside of the Humvee, there's no contact, there's no communication, nothing. So Scotty and Cabrera, and I can't remember who the third kid was, they go through this old town, not knowing that we can't hear them. We've lost radio contact, that we can't reach them at all. They haven't done a radio check with us. So they go through Scotty. This is all from Scotty and Cabrera's perspective. They go through everything. They get to the very end where an old church had been at. So that, there's no contact. There's nothing there. Nobody's been up there at all. And they see that on the backside of this old church was like, the storm doors going downstairs. So they're like, okay, we're going to go down there. So they cracked the chem light, threw it down there. They go down there. And as Cabrera and Scotty both told me was they could tell that people had been in there because there were candles lining up on the wall. It was a dirt floor. There's half-burned candles. There was some other crap in there. And they were like, oh, okay, someone's been here. They do a sweep. Nobody's in there. Caddy comes out and he's doing his job. He's counting people's heads. They come out. Excuse me. Cabrera's the last one out. And as Cabrera's coming up the stairs, the chem light comes flying up the stairs and smacks Cabrera in the back of the Kevlar. So they immediately do a 360 and they storm the basement to go clear it out. Nobody's in there, nothing at all whatsoever. While this is going on, we've now realized we have no contact with them. We're assuming they're dead. So I'm mounted up, and you get my guys, and we're rolling up to their location. So they clear everything out. Nobody's down there. They come back out, and they get to the Humvee and call in, all clear, all that good stuff. We get turned around. And we're telling Scotty and them that we had no contact. Yeah, so I thought it was kind of cool. The chem light come flying up out of the basement and smack Cabrera in the back of the head. So to me, that was kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, just come flying out. Yeah. Germany is really cool, especially on the military bases. As Dan was saying, they're haunted. The barracks that we built, they're almost, when we rebuilt them on their sites, on their locations, their foundation. My housing that I lived in Bad Kissingen, was haunted. The top floor was empty. There was, apartments up there, but there was nobody up there. But we'd be in my apartment and you could hear people moving around upstairs. You could hear like furniture being moved. And I was a stairwell commander, so there was no way anybody was up there without my permission. I had the keys. And a couple times we'd go up there and it'd be an empty, completely just nothing. There's no furniture, no storage at all whatsoever in these apartments. But you'd hear people in the stairwell when nobody would be there. And everybody, there was 4 families, 4 of us that lived there. So I was in the middle and had the young kid across from me. Then down below me was Ryan. And then I can't remember who they had across from him. Yeah, nothing at all. And when I came back from after I got hurt and reopened my apartment and everything like that, it just seemed the activity just got much, much worse there. So that was Bad Kissingen. One of the creepier stories that I've been told in the military was from a kid from Ohio. And I think I might have told some of y'all might have heard this before already. Him and his cousin, he was adopted into the family, by the way. So him and his cousin were going to stay the night at their grandparents. And the grandparents had a farmhouse, had woods and, fields. We're all up there, so we already knew what it looked like. So they decided one evening they're going to jump on the 4-wheeler and they're going to go running through the woods on the 4-wheeler and go check out where the cows die. For some reason, cattle wander and they will find a spot and they just die. The animals know when they're going to pass, so they will wander away from the herd and die. So this area of the woods, these cows would go and die. And, young teenage kids, that's always kind of cool. So they jump on the 4-wheeler. They're going through. Once they got into the woods, it got dark. They had the headlight on. And my soldier was on the back. His cousin was driving. As they're going through on the trail, he realizes that there are claw marks on the trees. Big claw marks, he said. He goes, hey, Sergeant, these are huge claw marks. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, we don't have anything in Ohio. We've killed everything. There's nothing big like that that's going to be there. I'm like, all right. He says, so they go past one cow's body and realize the cow had been gutted, looked like it had been torn open. And they start slowing down and they decide they're going to turn around. So they're coming in to turn. He said, the headlight was rolling across the tree line, and up there was a huge 6 to 7 foot tall on its hind legs, dog, wolf-like creature on its hind legs. Now, what gets me about the story was, he said when the light hit it, the eye was red already until the headlight hit it, and then the eye went from red to black. So there was no eye shot. It was glowing red, and then the lamp hit it, and then it went black. He said they paused on it. It was the side of the face of what they were looking at, and it turned his head and looked at him, and he said his cousin just gunned it, floored it, and they go hauling out of the trees, down the trail to get out of the wood line. He said he didn't turn around behind it, but he felt like it was racing right there behind him, like it was right there, just keeping pace with him. They break through the wood line. They're flying towards the farmhouse. They get to the farmhouse. They jump off the 4-wheeler. They run upstairs. They turn the light on into the room they're staying at, and they freak out. They go, no, turn the light off. Turn the light off. It will see us. So they turn the light off, and they're peeking out the window, as kids will do, and they're watching, and they see come out of the wood line where they came from, a man stand there, look at the farmhouse, turn around, and walk back into the woods again. Now, what made the story to me was unique is I'd never heard of Dogman at this point in time, nothing at all whatsoever. I was going, dude, I think you saw a werewolf. out in the field, soldiers talk about, we tell ghost stories and we tell spooky stories and we tell stories at home and music and girls and everything like that. We had to get the kids. He goes, I have a story, but y'all are going to make fun of me. Y'all aren't going to believe me. So it took us about 15 minutes to get this kid to tell the story. And we all just sat there in shock afterward. And I was just, dude, you saw a werewolf. And so I'd never heard of a dogman encounter at all whatsoever until, this kid telling me a story in of all places, Ohio. So, and then I've lived in 2 haunted houses, one when I was in kindergarten and one when I was in the service. Both of them were scary, even as an adult in the service at Fort Hood. I'll tell that one first. So the house at Fort Hood, I just came in from Korea and my parents had moved here to Arkansas. So me and my ex, I flew into Utah from Seoul to see the whole family there. My ex was there with the kids. We figured we'd split our visit up, see our family in Utah, then come down to Arkansas, see my mom and dad here. And then we would go to Fort Hood, look for a place to live, stuff like that. Come here, go down, drop my kids off. My parents are excited. They get a few days with the kids by themselves. We go down to Fort Hood and we find this cute little home in Copper's Cove and we're ecstatic about it. It's right in our price range. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, perfect size, nice, cute little backyard, cute neighborhood. And we can't believe how cheap we got it. It was from the owner. All excited to get, our second night there, in Texas, we're like, we signed the lease, get the keys, and we go buy an air mattress and we crash out that first night, in the master bedroom and she's asleep, but I'm just about to fall asleep. I was reading a book and just when I was getting ready to, that part where you're about to fall out, I felt something press on the air mattress down by my feet. And my first thought was, oh, it's got to be one of the cats. At Carson, where we were at before Korea, we had cats. So the cats would always jump on the bed. And then it dawned on me, we don't have cats. So I sat up and looked around the room and I was like, okay, maybe it's just my imagination. Well, Southern houses are kind of cool and weird. You have light switches that will control the wall and stuff like that. And we realized that the one light switch by the wall controlled the whole power against the wall where we had, the phone set up, the old, remember the old wireless phones, you had to have them plugged in, they charge up and everything. So we got the phone, we got everything put in place, and another night there, and then we came back up to Arkansas. We knew we left the switch on. I'd even had it, taped so that way you couldn't accidentally hit the switch, right? You had to leave it in the up position. So we get up to Arkansas, we're having a good time, visiting, we go back, we get my household goods being delivered. We get there and that light switch had been pushed down. And the tape was still around the light switch, but it looked like it had been pulled off. And I thought that was odd. You'd hear footsteps in the house down the hallway. Nobody'd be awake. It'd just be me. You'd put your keys down on one spot and find them in a different spot. One evening, I watched my cigarette in the ashtray. Just put cigarette down the ashtray in the cigarette holder. And I actually watched it go like this. And I was just like, that's unusual. I was actually on the phone with my buddy Gabe in Florida when that happened. Then the big one was my ex was working, I was working, and one of the guys on my unit, one of my soldiers, was like, hey, my wife needs a babysit, you wouldn't mind. So we interviewed her and we agreed to let her be the babysitter. So he was pulling guard duty, and she asked if she could stay the night, hang out with us, and we're like, sure, not a problem. And we were in the office, and we were playing on the computer, the internet, having a good time. And my ex says, I'm going to bed. I'm like, yeah, I'm right behind you. And I'll wrap all this up. And the babysitter went down on the couch and was getting ready to go to bed. Then I walked out, I got a drink or something. I sat on the coffee table and we were visiting. And she had turned the Cartoon Network on behind me on the TV. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the whole entire front door just started shaking. Like someone was right there trying to get into the door. I mean, violently, like shaking, almost coming off the hinges. And I sat there going, whoa. Now, we had a screen door on the outside. And this storm door was so loud. You knew somebody was open. No matter how slowly you would open this thing, it was loud, squeaky. I never D40'd it. I mean, it was just, no matter, you could hear it through the whole entire house if someone tried to open up the door. So my first thought was, oh crap, it's going to go through the garage. It didn't close the garage. So I jumped up off the coffee table. The babysitter's freaking out. I go to the kitchen, open up the door, turn the light on in the garage, and I go storming through the garage to go outside. And when I get right to the edge of the garage, everything in me stopped. I physically stopped. And it was like the voices in my head saying, don't go out there. Don't go out there. Don't go out there. So instead of leaning my head out, look towards the front door, you see the storm door was secure, pushed up against the door. You could tell it was locked up. The front porch light was still on. And it felt like I was being watched from every direction. And so I slowly, reached up, grabbed the garage door, I pulled it down. There was a manual one. And as I'm walking back towards the kitchen door to go inside, I'm like looking up because that's where I felt like I was being watched from. Like something up above on the ceiling was staring down at me. So I get into the house. The babysitter's now standing on up, and she's wrapped up, standing up like this, freaking out, shaking like a leaf. Tears are streaming out of her eyes. And she kept saying the F word over and over again. And no, WTF, WTF, WTF. And I was like, hold on. Try to wake my ex up. I'm like, hey, I told you the house is haunted. It just went crazy. And all she did was roll over and go, and went right back to sleep. No kidding. So I was up until about 4:30 in the morning with the babysitter because she was scared to death, right? And, okay. Spring hits, and my buddy Rick, which, he was on my very first episode. He came in from Korea. His family was still in San Antonio, so he was staying with us while he was in processing, looking for a house. And alarm goes off, 4:30 in the morning. We got to get up. And as I come walk around the corner, he's sitting up, and I was like, oh, good, you're awake. I guess my alarm woke you. And he goes, no, your kids are up. I was like, what do you mean my kids are up? And he goes, yeah, they're running around the kitchen right now. I was like, no. So I stick my head around the corner of the kitchen. My kids aren't there. I'm like, Rick, there's nobody in here. And he stood up and goes, what? I said, no. I started the coffee pot and I walked down the room, my kids' room, to make sure they were, in bed, which they were. I said, dude, they're out like a light. He goes, no, man, there's somebody running around in the kitchen. So it woke me up. And I was like, oh. So fast forward about a week later, and me and Ricky came home. He hadn't found a place yet, still in processing. We're inside the house, we're visiting, and I happen to look out back, and the house had come with one of those, those old playhouses that were about, 3 to 4 feet tall. The kids could get into and play, the little plastic ones. And so my little girls loved it. They were playing on it. Well, my youngest, Stacy, was on the roof of this thing. And I was like, so I opened the door, get off the roof. What's she doing on the roof? I'm being the dad, you know what I mean? You know better than that, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And my oldest is crying. It's like, I didn't do it. I'm like, get in here. You're in trouble, that kind of thing. And she comes in, she's at the table, and I'm like, what? I told you you're not supposed to be doing that. Why'd you put your sister on the roof? And she's crying. I didn't do it. My friend did it. And I'm like, what friend? I'm in dad mode. I'm like, what friend you talking about? And I give Rick props and puts down and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Serena, tell us about your friend. And she goes, well, he's a little boy. And I'm sitting there going, what? And Rick's, shut me up. I give Rick props. He caught on quicker than me. So he shut me up. He goes, hold on. He goes, so you have a little boyfriend? He goes, yeah. You come and play with him sometimes. And I'm like, okay. And so now I'm looking going, And so Rick, my ex is across from the table. And she was
Matthew,
like,
Matthew,
yeah.
Did your garage door just close or something?
No, somebody came down the street with a flat tire.
Oh, okay.
No, if my garage door just closed, I'd be going, and we are done for the night. But so Rick is going to try and get information out of her. And finally, Rick goes, so where's this little boy at now? And Serena looked at him. She goes, well, he's on the roof. And I went, the roof of the toy house, the playhouse? And she goes, no, the big house, our house. And Rick goes, well, why is he on the roof? No lie. She looked at him dead in the eye and she goes, because he's afraid of daddy. And I hit the table and I went, damn right, you should be afraid of me. This is my, this is my house. Now I know what I'm dealing with. Well, and Dan will back me in this one. Well, I was married, so he was single through the, his time. But married guys, we all get together on the weekends. Our families get together, we all hang out, and our house seemed to be the place that we would do it at. At this point in time, me and Rick know that the house is haunted. And we're having a good time. Everybody's out back. I'm jamming out the Rob Zombie, having a good time. The girls are making margaritas. And I had just switched CDs. Yeah, back in the day, you had to switch CDs. I came in, switched CDs, and I heard the blender go off. And I was like, okay, so one of the girls came in, just was making, trying to make a margarita. So I got the CD set up, pushed, and I walked in to say something and realized nobody was in the kitchen. The blender's going off by itself, and the blender's empty, by the way. So no one's going to walk in and start the blender up with it being empty for no reason at all, right? So I turned it off, and I was like, stop messing with the stuff in the house. That wasn't the exact words that I used because we're on a podcast. Walked outside, continued on, same night, and Rick had gone in, he come back out, and he goes, I just want you to know the ghost doesn't like the music. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, I was going to the bathroom in the hallway, and his voice said, turn it off. And I go, well, what'd you do? And he goes, I just told him. I said, I'll tell him.
All right.
So Rick goes, I love the infantry. All right, Ghost, I'll tell him. So, Rick comes out, he goes, so I'm telling you. So I walk in and said, listen, it's my house, it's my music. I'll play what I want, when I want, and how I want. So fast forward, me and my ex split up, and I'm moving to the barracks, and I'd been at the house, getting everything cleaned out. Got to turn the keys in the next day. Went out, and did the typical drinking thing, and figured I'm going to go say goodbye to the house. And, that was us saying goodbye, my kids, everything like that. Now, I have to take into account that I hadn't been drinking a lot, obviously, because I was able to drive and I wasn't stupid. I was an NCO. That's a quick way to get busted down real quick. So I remember I pulled up to the house, opened the garage door, I walked in, and as soon as I turned the light outside in the kitchen, the lights went on and then dim. Every light through the whole entire house was dim. It was like this dark, oppressive feeling. Get the goosebumps again, remembering it. Just as I walked through the house, it was just surreal. Unless you've been in those situations where that ominous presence is just weighing in on you, and you know it's there, where even the light is gone, but it was just oppressively feeling on me. And I walked to the house, and my intention was to say goodbye, that melancholy kind of feeling and everything, and turning his head to fear. And I was like, "If this," went out, got back in the car, closed the garage door, and left. And that morning, the landlord goes, "Do you want to go in?" I was like, "Nope, here's the keys. Have a good time." So yeah, that was that was a pretty scary house. It was bound to have activity no matter what you did. So my ex blew it off, though. She would never actually come out and say that it was haunted or anything at all.
Yeah, when all the married guys, in housing get together for the weekends or the days off, whatever, it's called window shopping.
So yeah.
Yep. Looking for Jody. Jody's looking.
Jody's always looking. So I'll keep it. I'll end my stories at that one right there.
Yeah, I gotta ask. Those were good ones, but the one that fascinates me the most is when you said that there was the dog man story where the eyes were glowing red, but when the light hit them, they went black. That's interesting to me.
That part of the story has always stood out to me for some reason, because and I heard this story before the AHA event. When after the AHA event and doing the research, and believe it or not, I researched into that. I cannot find any similar story out there of the eye glowing red until the lights hit it, and then as he described it, it almost felt like as he remembered it. As soon as the light hit it, it like absorbed the light and went black. So it none of the lights dimmed or anything, but just kind of he goes, it was just weird. He goes, "Hey, sorry." Like I said, it was a weird thing. And of course I wasn't there, so I can't say, this is a secondhand story, but the way the kid told it, very, very believable.
Yeah.
As he was shaking through it. You could tell he got the goosebumps through it, just reliving it.
Right.
And what I liked about the story too is when he said they ran up the stairs, they turned the light on. No, it'll see us. And they turned the light off and they were peering out. That's a typical good kid movement too. We're going to hide in the dark. We're going to hide. And he goes, when we were peeking over the windowsill, and he said, when the man walked out, he said, we were both like, "What?" We didn't think one thing of werewolf until later on down the road. And so to me, that's the werewolf story.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. It almost hints at not only was it a werewolf, maybe shapeshifter, but demon possession as well.
Very well possibly could be. It is Ohio.
Right. Yeah, that one fascinates me. All of them were good, but that one fascinates me.
Good.
All right. Wild man, madman, you are up.
I'm going to do a regional ghost story. Of course, in the South, there are a lot of battlefields from the Civil War. Not too far from where I live, and Alan lives, is a battlefield called Chickamauga. And the Chickamauga battlefield was reportedly one of the bloodiest battles in the Civil War. They said that the creek that runs through there ran red, and you could not tell body parts from horses to human. And it was a horrible, horrible battle. Now, afterwards, when all the battlefield debris and bodies had to be cleaned up, people moved in trying to clean it up, get everything straightened, and get all the wounded and all that stuff, tear and bury all the bodies. There was a convent that used to be in the area, and the nuns came to help. One of the nuns had enough of all the destruction, and she stepped off into the woods to try to get a breath. And she noticed something very large and hairy hunched over something. And she didn't know what it was. She stepped closer, and it was something hunched over a body, and it was apparently eating the body. When she saw this, she evoked the name of God, and whatever this thing was heard her turned around, and it had large green eyes, a very awkward body, long arms, long legs, hairy. It screeched at her and ran off in the woods. And that was the very first reported sighting of what is known as green eyes. Green eyes is a spirit that apparently inhabit the Chickamauga battlefield. It has been seen many, many times by many, many people. The battlefield itself is haunted by other things. I've been there and done a little ghost hunt and caught some interesting stuff, but the Cherokee refused to have anything to do with that land before the battle. It was a good place to farm, flat, and the Cherokee refused. They said something was there, and they weren't going to have anything to do with it. Throughout the year, there have been many stories, but my favorite one is there were doing reenactment, and two park rangers were going through the park and checking on the reenactor, and they were walking, and they noticed what they thought was a reenactor walking towards them. The guy was wearing a Civil War uniform with a long coat, and he had long stringy hair, and they just thought he looked kind of strange, and he was walking on the other side of the road from them. As they got closer, they noticed his eyes were glowing green, and he was like leering at them. So as they walked past and kind of on either side of the road, he just kind of glanced at them and just had this menacing look, and neither one of them paid any attention to him and just kept walking. But there have been reports of him. Now there's a festival, a Green Eyes Festival, but there have been reports of him throughout the year. There are reports of all kinds of stuff. People see soldiers in the fall. I personally, like when a friend of mine and I went down there ghost hunting, he took pictures of a field, and there were a stand of trees, and then looked like a natural gateway into another field. There was no one standing there, but in one of his pictures, somebody was standing in the gap. There's a tower that is 4 stories tall. I had a video camera, and I zoomed in, hit every window and zoomed in. On window 2 and 4, my camera went static, going up and coming down. There are a lot of things going on the battlefield, but another story I heard about it was this gentleman in the early 80s was visiting a young lady, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, he decided to step out and have a cigarette. And she lived on the outskirts of the battlefield. And he's sitting there smoking on the deck and noticed a large blue sphere that was moving towards him. So, being curious, he stepped out to see it. When he got closer to it, it was 2 Union soldiers carrying a third. And he looked at them, and they looked at him, and they said, "Do you know where the hospital is?" And he said, "Boys, is there a light? Do you see a light?" And they said, "Yeah, there's one behind us." And we didn't know if that was the place to go. He said, "Yeah, that's where the field hospital is. That's where you need to go." And they thanked him and turned around and left. Then in our hometown, there's a neat little ghost story. I've done a picture of it called Little Ghost Girl, and it's about Nina Cragmiles. And Nina was the daughter of a prominent Cleveland resident at the time in 1800. He made his money by ill-gotten gains, but he built a opera house that is still here. He built the Episcopal church that is still here, and there is a Edwardian mansion that was owned by one of his relatives that is still here. But Nina was his only daughter, and he gave her everything she wanted, but he also thought that she was better than anybody else in town, so she never really got to play with other children. Early one spring day, her grandfather arrived with a brand new buggy and a brand new horse, and going to take his granddaughter for a ride. Well, as grandfathers do, they let their granddaughters do whatever. And at 9, he let her drive the buggy. They decided to race a train. The horse made it across the track, and the buggy didn't. The grandfather didn't. He was hurt, but the little girl was killed. And the parents, being devastated, decided to build a mausoleum for her. So they brought in virgin Italian marble, shipped it in, and built this mausoleum, which is still here. But after she was interred in the mausoleum, there started to have blood splotches appear on the outside of the mausoleum. People thought it was some type of fungus, so they had those bricks taken out and replaced with a brand new Italian marble, and the blood stains came back. The rest of the family died in very horrible ways, strange ways, and they are all interred in the mausoleum. And the story is, which the mausoleum is in the on the grounds of the Episcopal Church. The story is that if you walk around the mausoleum or walk around the church 7 times in silence, little Nina opens the door and asks you to come in and play.
So on that, right here's the mausoleum that I'm sharing with everybody, if you can see it. And right here is up close. Now the door, you can see this that's an iron door that is very ornate, but you can see through it.
Right.
And right behind it is a very thick wooden door. Okay, that sometimes, just rarely, it'll be open. It
Yep.
won't open all the way. It'll open just a crack. And if you have a flashlight, you can scan it, shine it in there, and you can see the sarcophagus of her, and it's
Right.
carved in her image.
Oh,
And
wow.
when I was down there in Cleveland, these guys were too chicken to do the thing where you walk around it with me.
I did not.
Listen, you didn't even get out of the car, you big
Yeah.
baby. I ran over to the thing and was trying to see if it was open. You were sitting in there hugging your wife, going, "I'm
I was
scared, Mommy."
driving. I threw you out.
Listen.
That is a pretty mausoleum, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Matthew and John, as an aside, you didn't see it, Matthew, obviously, because you weren't here. But John, that little church that this was in that's right beside it, that church in the story with the Vane sisters, where the priest gets killed, it's that church.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I described it. I went down there and was writing and describing that particular church. So
I'll have to listen to that again now that I've seen that church.
yeah. So excellent. Good stories to choose, Chris.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right. So just real quick to tie into something else Chris was talking about there. Okay. I'm going to share this with you. So he was talking about Chickamauga battlefield. Okay. I have a good friend whose name is Andrew Scarlatta. Okay. And Andrew and his wife were in Chickamauga battlefield. Obviously, this is a photo taken pre-cell phone. Okay. It was after they had moved in the early 2000s to Chattanooga, and they were in Chickamauga battlefield because they'd heard about it, and they went out there and they were taking pictures. And in this picture, you can see an orb, right? They're down there in the battlefield, and you can see, what may or may not be reflections of orbs or other orbs that are just not as prominent and bright. But if you look here, they're everywhere.
What's that thing in the middle?
That's what I was gonna say. It looks like a dinosaur.
Yeah, we don't know. Okay, so now check this out. I'm going to show you something even better with the orbs, right? So obviously there's something going on here that we don't know what it is.
It looks like a wing.
Right? Yes. And
yeah, I can see that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, so here's the other wing, maybe, if you're looking at a perspective, and this is one wing, right? So things are going on. So check this one. I find that was fascinating, but this one I find interesting too. So if we scroll in here, here's an orb, right? Here's another orb, and this may or may not be just some sort of weird reflection here. But when you look at this, okay, this right here, you can clearly see it's spherical. This is a sphere. You can see from the perspective that there's some sort, and it even goes down in here. You can see it.
That's a perfect sphere.
Yes.
And you can see at the very top, too, like there's a light coming reflecting off of that part right there. And the flash. Well, I mean, if you look at the tree, too, you see there's a light almost like it's coming in. Yeah, you can't see me pointing at it, but to the right side of the tree.
Right.
But that's pretty cool because it's the top, though. I'm pointing at the screen, the top of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a
But when I was
cannonball.
looking at
It looks like a hand reaching for the tree.
it does it not? Yes.
Like fingers
So-
like wrapped around it.
Yep. So now obviously this was not able to be tampered with because these are,
Bill.
Andrew is a smart guy, but he's not, he's not into this kind of technology, being able to manipulate that kind of stuff. So, but I thought, Chris, since you chose those two stories, I just happened to have some pictures that would help.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So good.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
So interesting. So
All
there you
right.
go.
Lafayette, you are up, good sir. You get to bring
All
it
right.
home.
Yeah, well, I'll tell just a short one, but I'll start with this. Yeah, it was gonna be so. No, I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna do something. I was gonna say, look, I'm gonna go do ahead. So I used to be stationed at this military base, and we had this guy, and he was a noob, and we told him, we said, look, we tell this guy there's a troll, we just steal his stuff, and we could go in there, and he'll put liquor out for us and cigarettes. This guy fell for it, man. He was so easy, man. It was so easy. And this went on for weeks. And then we started putting women's jewelry in there, and he was totally tripping, man.
Yeah, bite me.
Obviously, I'm messing with you.
No, man, that's great.
So I'll tell you this one. I think I might have told this one to somebody once before, but this one was one that always rings. When I tell it, I can never do it justice. Okay. So when I was, I guess I was, it was my freshman year. It was before my freshman year. It might have been my 8th grade year. I was living in this house. And so this is 81, 82. And I'd started seeing a shadow figure in the corner of my bedroom. Not every night, but every couple of nights. And it had a top hat. Now, since the last 10 or 15 years, the shadow man has been huge. I can remember when my son was about 8 or 9 and he came to me and said, Dad, have you ever heard of the shadow man? I'm like, yeah. And I would tell him this story. So, this is early 80s. We didn't have the internet. So it's not like this stuff could just permeate and people go, oh, I'm going to take this story and tell my own version of it or whatnot and fake it. But I would see the shadow man. Most of the nights when I would see the shadow man, I had not full-on sleep paralysis, but there was suppression. I was unable to make large movements, so I didn't feel totally restricted, so I was just kind of chalking this up in my mind of just, I'm having vivid dreams because I've always been able to have vivid dreams. Well, but as the months went on and this continued, I got to realize, wait a minute, there's something else going on here. Right? It just thinking through it and being present in those moments, I was like, I'm not fully awake, but I'm not asleep either. There's something going on here. So I didn't know, really how to handle it. So I used to hang out with these guys, Chad and Mike and Stuart and a couple other guys. We'd hang out. And Chad and I at the time were pretty close. And we used to like to get in one of our cars. We'd just started driving, right? So some time elapses and we just started driving. We'd pick a Friday night or a Saturday night and maybe I would drive or maybe he would drive and whomever could jump in the back seat with, we'd take along. So one night it was my turn to drive and we were driving in a part of McMinn County. Well, it's actually beyond McMinn County. We were going to a dam out in the middle of nowhere. It's Watts Bar Dam, right? And back in the day, there were lots of logging roads. You would go down this road and you'd just see these massive trees just for miles, right? No lights, obviously, because you're out in the middle of nowhere. So we decided it would be fun to take my car, a 1970 Lincoln Continental, right? And it was too much of a car for a 16-year-old guy, right? So I'm driving. Chad's, they had bench seats. So I'm driving, Chad's sitting there, and we had 2 guys in the back, Mike and Stuart. We're driving down the road and we're just swapping stories. So it comes to my turn. I thought, I'm going to tell a shadow man story. Right. And I said, all right, guys, I said, for the past year or so, I've been having these, I don't know if they're dreams. I don't think they are. I think they're real. And there's this shadow man and he's standing in the corner of my room. Sometimes I can catch a glint of, light from his eye, like maybe he's wearing a monocle or something. And Chad says, oh my gosh, does he have a top hat? And I looked at him and I went, how can you know that? And he goes, I've been seeing a guy in my room that is a shadow with a top hat. I never see the gleam, but he's clearly got what I think is a top hat. Right. So by this time, we're deep on this this old road, one single lane road, been driving for 20 minutes. It's dark, right? And I'm driving, and Mike in the back seat says, "Wouldn't it be weird if the headlights went out right now?" Boom, headlights go out, right? So everybody's like, "Alan, stop being an ass. Turn the lights back on." I'm like, "Dude, it's not me." Because, this car was old enough that the lights, you turn them off and on with a button, right? So I'm showing them, I'm pulling and pushing the button. There's no lights. So obviously we've pulled over, right? So had a flashlight. So we get out there, because this pre-cell phone and all that. So we get out there, we're lifting the hood and we're trying to check, is everything, what could have caused? Is the battery good? Which the car was still running. You could start the car, right? So we're sitting there and we're like, what is going on? So about maybe 10 minutes, maybe less, goes by. And one of us, I want to say it was Stuart, said, "You just don't speak stuff like that into the universe, man. I think you need to say we're sorry." And Mike says, "I'm not saying we're sorry." Mike was kind of alpha male kind of guy, right? "I'm not saying we're sorry." So one of them, I want to say it was Stuart, I can't remember, Stuart or Chad, goes, "We're sorry." Lights pop back on, right? True story. So we get in the car, we turn around, haul ass back out, out of this wooded area, right? Back onto a 2-lane road, which was still out in the middle of nowhere. But you feel better because now you're in, there's farmland, there's fields on each side of you, which was better than being all claustrophobic with the trees on each side of you. And so we made a pact that night that, yeah, we're still going to do spooky stuff, but we're not gonna challenge anything ever again. So there you go. That's my spooky story.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off of that one, because you and I have a spooky story together.
Yeah.
Do you remember it? The
No?
dream.
Yeah, tell it.
Okay, so I think y'all get a kick out of this one, because Alan will back me on this. So our first investigation that I ever did as drunken cryptids and everything was up at Chris's property for the shadow thing, the Arkansas shadow thing. Go up there. I got potentially zapped with some infrasound. I was weirded out the rest of the night. That Sunday, y'all know me. I was normally outside in the tavern having a good time. I'm on the couch watching TV, to where my ex she was like, "How come you're not outside?" I was like, "I don't know. I just feel weird."
Yeah.
So that week, I had this crazy dream that I was out in the woods looking for Bigfoot, cryptid hunting, and this giant anaconda comes through like this tunnel. It's like a tunnel of trees. You know how the trees are, real close tied in trees. This giant anaconda comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm running away from this anaconda, and I see a house, and it's got like a moat. I'm like, cool, they've got alligators. No kidding. In my dream, like, they got alligators. So as I'm jumping over the moat, this alligator comes leaping out past me to grab the anaconda, right? And I was like, that was a crazy dream. So that week we were talking, and I'm talking to Alan, like, "Dude, yeah, weird week, feeling really odd. Do we even have this crazy dream?" And he goes, "I had a crazy dream too." So Alan, I'll let you tell your dream.
So again, this was one of those interesting conversations where, as we're telling the story, I had been feeling off for a few days, and so I had this dream where I was being chased by this giant snake, and I was in the woods, and I'd have to go back and remember the whole story, but what I do remember is that I was running over like this mountain, and it was really weird. It was like on a cliff, and I was running on this little ledge trying to get over this ridge, and this snake was after me, and I get over the ridge, and there's a cabin, right? And I can't remember the rest of that because it's been a while since we had that conversation, but that's when Matthew was like, "No shit." Because guess what, dude? I had a similar dream on the same week, and I think we even tried to figure it out. It was almost like on the same night, wasn't it?
I think you had yours, and then I had mine. I think it's like a day off. I think we were off a day.
Right.
We were trying to figure out what night it was. Yeah.
So again, it kind of makes you wonder, why are we having dreams with serpents coming after us? Now, I was going through something at that point. I don't know if you were going through something, but
no, I was doing, which is weird. Everything for me was going good, but looking back at the time on what was going good, now I'm wondering whether that was a sign.
Right. So do we interpret it as, in your situation, or was that was that some sort of manifestation of me actually realizing that it was, a serpent spirit, or, I don't
Yeah.
know. But it's just odd that during that same week we'd both had a similar dream.
Within 48 hours.
Right.
That
Hey,
eerily similar dream.
hey, Alan, let me ask you a question. How tall was your Hat Man, if you recall?
He wasn't extremely tall. Like, some of them are almost Slender Man-esque in their height. This guy was normal height, I would have felt, with the exception of the top hat. I got the sense that he was thin. Again, it's just the outline. And I remember even one time that he moved, you could tell he was moving his hand, and he almost like tipped his hat a little bit. And like I said, this went on for a couple of months, and then it stopped. But over the years, while I was in that house, it would occasionally happen. But there was a couple of months period there where it happened a lot, and I've never understood, what was the purpose of it? Was it some sort of omen? Because I mean, there was some bad stuff that happened in my life. Not long after that, was it some sort of omen, or was it just one of those things that John and I have talked about, I think even, Matthew and Chris and I have talked about it too, about, was that one of those things as a young person that was happening to open me up to all these possibilities,
Yeah,
of a spirit realm?
because my shadow man happened when I was like 4 or 5. And a top
Mm.
hat. I remember I had a top hat, but mine had a cape.
Yeah, I couldn't ever recall a cape. I mean, right now I'm very detailed remembering these particular situations, and I can't ever recall a cape. I can recall a definite shape, definite movement, a definite gleam that once, of like maybe a monocle, but
I guess it was a Shadow Man here in the house that I'm in now, 2 years ago, maybe, if that. Because I used to have another podcast called The Paranormal Narrative, and I was talking everything but the occult, demons, and that type of stuff. And I remember hearing a noise and walking out of my bedroom. Now, my bedroom's at the end of my hallway. You walk straight out, right immediately to the left is the stairs that go downstairs. We have a split level home. Immediate to the right is the kitchen, but then it just opens up into the living room. And I have a chair, and at this time the chair was sitting in the corner, like right next to the window. And I came out into the living room, and there it was. It was sitting in my chair, and it grabbed both arms of the chair, and it stood up like, okay, it's go time. Like it was waiting for me. And as soon as I saw it, I immediately started saying the Lord's Prayer. I was like, listen, you're not welcome here. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. I'm bathed in the blood of Jesus Christ. You have no power over me. You're not welcome here. You're not welcome around anybody who visits my home or lives in my home. You need to leave. And I was saying this while my eyes were closed. And when I opened up my eyes, it was gone. I mean, there's been some weird stuff that's happened in this house, and it's been seen by or heard by my youngest daughter, who's 23, my son, who now lives in Michigan. When we worked during COVID, I had to work from home for like 2.5 years. And when no one was home except for me down here, I would hear somebody run sounded like from my bedroom all the way around through the house, kitchen, dining room, back down the hallway. And then I'd hear a door slam. And I would get up, and I have a buddy called Sig that sits right next to me all the time. I
He's a good friend.
thought someone was in my house. So I started clearing my house like I did when I was in the military. And I got upstairs, and all of the doors that were in the hallway, which is the bathroom, the spare bedroom, and my bedroom, all the doors were wide open. And I've heard that happen multiple times. My grandmother, my Nana, has been seen in this very room by another podcaster and by a co-host of one of my shows. Like, literally, see where the sign is on the wall. That's where she was standing, right in that area. And I showed them the picture they described her, and I showed her the picture, and they're like, yeah, that's who's standing there right now. And
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the time she was first seen, it was during a live podcast. And I was looking at the chat, and as soon as the host goes, Dano, I just got to ask you a question. Who's that lady standing behind you? And I go, shut up, man. And I turn around and I look, and I don't see nothing. He's like, she's right there.
That's creepy.
And the chat just started going, "Oh my gosh, I'm glad you said something. I was wondering if we were seeing things." And he described her, and I showed him a picture of my Nana. And he goes, "That's exactly." And then people in chat, "That's her. That's who that is." And I was like, man, I mean, that's kind of like a happy encounter, you know? It's like my Nana watching over me. So
saying hi. You glad you brought that up. And I do want to bring it in for a landing here really soon because we'll be going close to 2 hours. Actually, we're almost on 2 hours. So with the subjects and everything that we deal with and the interview and the topics and stuff, I've never had anything. The only weird thing happened to me so far with this stuff is that a couple of shows I've gone on to tell the AHA story, we've had audio issues or video issues where we've had to redo it a few times with me. To where what was funny, Dana, when you were talking earlier, the reason why I turned my camera off and all this stuff is because my dogs were throwing a fit inside. And I was trying to calm my dogs down. I was like, why? They're crated up. Like, what y'all doing? I'm trying to be that guy. But I did one interview with the guy who did the website for us, who did the logo. Dylan, great kid, great kid. And it's the Hutch episode. And what was funny is that for some reason that episode just hit me hard, and I don't know why. I got done with it, and I was on the phone with Tommy afterward, and Tommy would back me on this one. And I'd gone upstairs. I was in the tavern, recorded. We were on the phone. We were talking about the episodes. Like, hey, it's a really good show. You did a good job. I walked upstairs, up into the house. I was like, oh man, I forgot something down in the tavern. So I had just left there, so I didn't bother turning on the lights or anything like that. But all of a sudden, I go down there to the tavern. I grabbed what I'd forgotten. I turned around, and on the phone with Tommy, I freaked out. I swore somebody was walking down the sidewalk towards the tavern. Because, from the deck, there's a sidewalk that would walk down to where the tavern was at. And I thought, it looked like there was a person right there. And I jumped on the phone, freaking out. And Tommy was like, what? I was like, okay, I'm a little jumpy tonight. So, yeah. So that's about the only thing I've had happen because of the show and stuff like that. So I'm wondering whether or not with the topics that we do, this is what happens. We get some of this interesting stuff. But since we're going to leave it on that note, I do want to go around and I want to thank you guys for coming on, doing this with me tonight, doing a great 2-hour show. We haven't done one of these in a long time. So before we go anywhere, I'm going to go around. I want everyone to tell where to find your show at, the links, everything like that and all, how to get a hold of you, where to find you, everything like that. And we'll do it the same order that we tell the story. So, John, you're
John Methenkamp from Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. You have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts. Message me on Facebook. Show up at my door. No, I wouldn't do that. I really wouldn't do that. Show up at Alan's door and ask him where
I
I'm
wouldn't
at.
do that either. We're
Hey,
all
everybody.
packing.
Yeah, we are. Everybody, again, Dano from the Cryptid Podcast. I can be found on YouTube and Spotify. If you guys have had an encounter, cryptid encounter, don't hesitate to drop me an email at the Cryptid Podcast 7.
awesome. Matthew Wharton, Drunken Cryptid. If you've had any kind you want to come to the show, drunkencryptids@gmail.com. You can follow me on all your socials out there as well. Shoot me an email, shoot me a message on Facebook. If you do Instagram, Tommy gets the Instagram messages. TikTok, I'm on there sometimes, and I'm really horrible about messaging back on TikTok. So just find me on Facebook and message the show or me, or just shoot me an email. We get better coverage there. Chris?
I'm Chris Madman Goins, and if you've had a paranormal encounter, call all these other guys because I'm not answering. Yeah, you can find me on all the socials, and you can listen to my weird voice talents on Nevermore Hollow.
Well, tell Black Sheep Studios on Instagram.
Like
Right.
Sheep Studios, yeah, on Instagram. If you see something you like, tell me, I'll sell it to you.
Very talented artist, you guys. Very, very talented. He doesn't sell himself enough as he should. And I'm honored that he's going to do the logo for the Arkansas Cryptid Fest this year.
Going to be in a-
and I'll have to say, Chris is a very humble man. He's humble to a fault, and he supports all of us so much, and we don't give him enough shout out for that. But go check his art out. Order something from him. He'll get it to you quick, and you're gonna love it. It's unique and nostalgic. He's got his foot firmly in nostalgia land. So good. So
If you want
I am-
a sneak peek, at his art, just look right behind me because there's two pieces of it behind me.
Yes. And I'll show you a custom piece for me.
Oh yeah.
I've shown this before. You know, I love Looney Tunes, and my favorite Looney Tunes character is Slowpoke Rodriguez. And out of the blue, he calls me one day and says, "I got something for you," and he brings this to me.
That
That's
is awesome.
Yeah, and it's even signed. I'm going to get a frame for it eventually, I promise. But yeah, so check out his stuff and show him some love there. So I am Alan Wattenberger, aka Lafayette Faust in the show. We're on all the socials. I'm going to answer you on Instagram, but if you go to Facebook, I'm never on Facebook. My buddies here hammer me because I don't check Facebook like I should. It's an inside joke. You can send me a message at LafayetteFaust@gmail.com. But go check out the show, Nevermore Hollows. Help us boost what we're trying to do. All of us here.
Yep.
Interact with us. We all respond. I respond personally to every comment on YouTube or with Spotify or Apple or any of the others. Like, comment, subscribe, send it to your friends, all that kind of stuff. We would all benefit from that and be able to give you more content because of what that would do.
And if you don't like us, send us to your enemy that you don't like, because they'll probably like us.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, if you don't like us and you make a negative comment, you might get called off. You might get killed in one of my shows. I'll write you in and kill you off because I do that.
I keep the negative ones up there. I don't respond to the negative ones. The only time I delete a comment if it's against my guest.
Yeah.
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 So, because my guest, you can attack me all you want. I can take it. I don't care. But don't go after my guest.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm fortunate. We've only had one negative comment, and you could tell it was somebody that was super screamy left wing and saying that, you know, I don't write my girl characters are always abused. And I'm like, my girl characters are always kicking ass. So I don't know what show you're linked to. Right. So we love and cherish women here in the Nevermore Hollows universe. But Dan, man, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice
yeah.
to meet you.
Yeah. And Matthew, thank you so much for organizing this. And Chris, love you, brother. And John, I'm still better than you, no matter what.
I thought it was interesting. I did think it was interesting in your story, Alan, is to find out even when you were a kid, your friends called you an ass.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know, I'm doing a limited run in this masterpiece, so if anybody needs anything, no, you guys, again, Matt, thank you so much. You guys, I hope that we can build a collaboration and a relationship, and we can bounce ideas off of each other, because honestly, you guys are a breath of fresh air. You know, when I see certain things go on in other podcasts that deal with this type of stuff in this type of community, yeah, you guys are a lot of fun, and I hope we can do more things like this in the future.
We're going to. So the next one we do is something that we started last year around Thanksgiving. Do you two remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what do we call it?
I'm not taking my clothes off this time, no matter how much you pay.
Thank
Hey,
God.
you enjoyed it. You liked it. I don't want to hear anything about it.
It's only because Matthew's check bounced.
Yeah. I didn't say I wasn't cheap. Yeah, do you remember what we called it last year? It wasn't like Friendsgiving.
Yeah,
I called it Squatch. Was it Squatch something? Was our Thanksgiving episode?
I couldn't make it.
No, you couldn't make. Yeah, you can do that one. Remember what we called it, Chris or Alan?
I don't remember. I was thinking it was something like.
You can look back
We'll
to
call
the
it
text messages.
We'll call this one Cryptids Giving.
Yes. I think that's what we called it. I think it was like cryptic giving or something like that. I think it's actually what we called it. So yeah, we'll be doing this again for Thanksgiving. So too much fun, you guys. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys so much for shouting your shows out. You guys, please make sure you go like and follow these guys if you're not already. Give them a 5-star review. Share it with your friends. Drop a comment. Just that little comment like, nice show. That helps out the algorithm for these shows to grow. It's a great group of guys, and we're all coming from numerous different backgrounds in the cryptid paranormal community with different types of shows. And you guys know how it is. You want to keep something different and fresh all the time. So check out, if you're not listening to the Cryptid Podcast already, I don't know what's wrong with you. Same thing with Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I don't know what's wrong with you. John's going to give you a great show. Daniel's going to give you a great show. I've been on both of them. I can testify to it. And of course, my favorite story of all time is the Nevermore Hollow that I tell Alan all the time. As soon as I get any connection in with anybody who can do movies and shows, I am so dropping it on TV. And we're going to get Keanu Reeves in there somehow.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And I will make sure that you get a walk-on role.
It'll probably just be that too.
Non-speaking.
Hold on, ready? Walking on.
You guys,
Oh, there's me in the background.
I'm actually trying to get Jack Osborne and Rob Lowell on my show.
I'm trying to get Rob Lowe as well.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Rob Lowe grew up like 20 minutes from my house.
Really?
Yeah, he
And
was
I
born,
tell you
well,
who I
he was,
wanted to
he was
get
from
on.
Sydney, Ohio.
So Wes on Santa Claus Chronicles did the short. Is on one of the night shows years ago of Playboy Playmate, who was shooting a thing for Red Bull, and she had the whole entire film crew and everybody had Santa Claus Encounter up there, and she was on the night show talking about it. So I've actually looked her up and I've tried to find any contact information to get her to come on and talk, and I can't find any contact. So
I tried too.
okay, yeah,
I did. I was like, she's got to have like a Facebook or something. I can't find one.
nope, there's nothing. I've looked. So she did a good job of covering her track. But all right, guys, I got to end this, bringing it for landing. Thank you guys for listening in. Thank you guys so very much. Happy Halloween. Shake your candy. Make sure it's the right candy. And I'll leave it at that. Good night, everybody.
Shadow in the pines lurking in the dusky air. Bigfoot stomps through the woods like he don't care. Lights in the sky flash green then blue. Aliens descending with a secret or two. Whispers in the breeze, cold fingers down your spine. Ghosts in the graveyard, twisting through time. Eyes wide open in the dead of night. The myths and monsters giving one hell of a fright. Oh, Miss Monsters and Mullets podcast, spinning wild tales of a future and a past. Hosted by John Methenkamp's fiery soul. He takes us where the wild unknown flows. Oh, Miss Monsters and Mullets podcast, spinning wild tales of a future and a past. Hosted by John Methenkamp's fiery soul. He takes us where the wild unknown flows. Down by the bayou, you hear a raspy growl. Swamp gas glowing as the coyotes howl. A UFO